Girl from the Sea, take one.
Nice. Oh my god, Jamie.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Queer Peer Reviews. We review queer media, good, bad, and ugly. Here at Queer Peer Reviews, we review queer media that ranges from TV shows, movies, and now graphic novels. Today we're going to be reviewing our first graphic novel, which is The Girl from the Sea, which is written and illustrated by Molly Knox Ostertag, which you may know from Star vs. the Forces of Evil and even strong female protagonists. Let's start with our main character, who is 15-year-old Morgan, who lives on Wilnef Island with her mother and her brother Aiden. Morgan's parents are divorced, so it's kind of caused a strain on her family's kind of relationship with each other. Her and her brother started growing further apart, and Morgan is actually closeted. She is waiting until she graduates high school and moves away from the island to be able to kind of like be herself and finally come out as gay. Next, we have our supporting character. Her name is Keltie. She is something that's called a selkie, which is basically Ireland's take on mermaids. So instead of how you would say a mermaid is like with fish, like a fish person, selkies are basically one with seals. Selkies are these creatures that can shed their seal skin and transform into humans and walk on land every now and then. And lastly, we have Morgan's friends, Serena, Jules, and Lizzie. Serena is the super wealthy friend in the friend group. Her parents have this big yacht that they're trying to promote this touring service around the island, so they wind up throwing Serena's birthday party on this yacht. So now moving on to the plot. The graphic novel starts off on this one stormy night after Morgan's family starts having a little bit of an argument. Morgan decides she's gonna go take a walk, but she winds up slipping and falling off some rocks and hitting her head and falls into the ocean. Shortly after that, she is rescued by Keltie, and since Morgan hit her head, she basically thinks this is all a dream, and she's like, I'm just gonna kiss you because you're really cute. So she winds up kissing her, wakes up the next day, and on her way out, she now sees Keltie running towards her, this girl that she thought was from her dream. Keltie reveals that she is basically from this group of selkies, and that true love's kiss has now basically bonded them together and given her ability to shed her skin so she could walk on land. And obviously, Morgan doesn't believe her at first because it is something very ridiculous to hear from this random girl you just met. She then introduces Keltie to her mom as her school friend, but this is when her brother starts catching on because her brother goes to the same school and has never seen this girl in his life. Morgan winds up dragging Keltie around town. Keltie is super like touchy-feely because this is her true love that she just kissed and is now walking on land because of her. And Morgan being closeted, she's like, okay, we can't touch, like you, please do not touch me. And there's this one scene, and in this scene, Keltie points out how there's this boy and this girl that are together and they're cuddling and whatnot, and Morgan tries to explain to her, well, that's a little bit different, basically saying how people on this island don't see gay people as like something you should see in public. And Keltie doesn't really understand that because she, like we said, comes from this group of seal people. Later at the pier, we see Keltie and Morgan sitting together, and then Morgan's friends appear, and Morgan gets super embarrassed because they're like, oh, like, did they just see me sitting with this girl and kind of like being super close? Because Morgan, like I said, closeted, super paranoid about what people think if people see her with another girl. Selena then brings up the yacht party that her parents are trying to throw her for her birthday. She invites Morgan, but Keltie kind of gives off this weird vibe, so she's like, don't bring her. Keltie starts like making comments about how big the yacht is and how it's like bad for the ocean, and Morgan gets super embarrassed and basically just sends her home. Later that night, when she goes home to apologize to Keltie, Keltie's already decided, I'm not staying here, I'm just gonna jump into the ocean, put my sealskin back on, and be out of your life. But she also explains to Morgan that if I put on my sealskin, I can't emerge from the sea for another 7 years, and Morgan starts to feel bad, and obviously she has some sort of feelings for this girl that she kissed the other night, so she takes Keltie's sealskin away from her and says, please stay, takes it inside. After the girls arrive at the rookery, they basically start talking about their lives, getting to know each other a little bit more. And that's when Morgan tells Keltie that she isn't out yet, and if people saw two girls together, she's afraid of what they might think. And Keltie explains how they don't have that in ocean life, like everyone is just themselves. And oddly enough, Keltie calls Morgan the true shapeshifter because she's the one who is hiding her true form from everybody, while Keltie, on the other hand, isn't afraid to be who she is, in more ways than one. Morgan winds up telling Keltie about her life plan, how she's not going to come out until she moves away from the island to be herself. And Keltie's like, okay, like I'll go along with your plan. And they wind up sharing a cute little kiss, which you can see right here. After the girls leave the rookery and go back to shore, Morgan tells Keltie that they need to keep their relationship a secret because she's afraid of what people might think. She doesn't want to cause any more stress to her family or potentially lose her friends over maybe some homophobia. After Morgan kind of leaves Keltie winds up talking to some seals who are telling her that she's getting distracted from what she's supposed to be doing. And that's when you kind of wonder, why is Keltie really here? After this, we see a little cute montage of Keltie and Morgan going on all these dates because they're, I guess you could say they're girlfriends now, unofficial girlfriends. They go like all around the island together, and while at the same time you're seeing pages of them going on these dates, you see this other panel of text messages that Morgan is receiving from her friends, her mother. I don't know if she gets any from her brother, but she's basically ignoring them and now causing some distance between the people who have been in her life for a long time versus this girl she just met the other day. After this montage, we go to this beach scene where Keltie and Morgan sneak off together to share a kiss in public, but Aiden, her brother, winds up like going on a little bit of an adventure himself and winds up seeing Keltie and Morgan kiss, and he just walks away, doesn't say anything. Later that night, Morgan's neighbors come over for some dinner. During this, there starts to be a little bit of tension between Morgan and her brother. They start talking about how her friend Keltie seems really nice, and that's when Aiden blurts out, it's not her friend, it's her girlfriend, and outs her in front of the entire dinner table. Morgan storms off to go find Keltie to tell her our secret's out, and that's when Keltie goes, well, if your secret's out, I think I need to reveal you mine. Keltie reveals that Serena's tour boat is going to be going right past the rookery and therefore will be scaring off all the fish, all the sources of food for her seal family, and she needs Morgan's help to stop it. But Morgan basically now sees this as some sort of betrayal, that she's been used this entire time. So the only reason why you're here with me is because you're using me to get your human legs. But Keltie reveals that, no, like, yes, I needed a kiss to be able to go on land, but I wanted it to be your kiss. But Morgan, unfortunately, does not accept that and runs home and tells her to leave. Later at home, we see that Mom is super accepting of Morgan. They basically talk about how you should have known that I would have been accepting of this, but Morgan explains how she was afraid, like she knew her mom was super accepting, but she didn't want to cause any stress to this already strainful relationship their family has together, which is super relatable because like you might have people in your life that you know will accept you for being gay, but something about it still makes you afraid to tell them because you're afraid to change. And this is basically the situation that Morgan's in. Morgan decides that she's going to make up to Keltie and actually help her because her mom says something that's very impactful to her, which I think is honestly a very relatable quote, which is sometimes you have to let your life get messy. That's how you get to the good parts. And I feel like that situation really is relatable because a lot of people stop when they realize things are getting a little bit too hard. But once you get past all that internal struggle you have, you're gonna have something beautiful. So after Morgan makes up with her brother, with the help of him, they wind up making a dress for Keltie, and Morgan makes up with Keltie, and they wind up going to Serena's party together. From this moment on, Morgan now introduces Keltie to her friends as her girlfriend, which is an amazing step in the right direction for both of them. Serena, unfortunately, is upset when she hears that Keltie is Morgan's girlfriend. And we learn that the reason behind this is because Serena was upset that she felt like Morgan couldn't tell her this. And unfortunately, they do not make up in this moment. While Morgan is talking to Serena, Keltie decides that I'm going to take matters into my own hands and crash the ship. So she puts it in the course for a rock, but Morgan stops her and they wind up turning the boat, which causes Serena to fall off the ship and into the water. So when everyone realizes that Serena has fallen off the ship, everyone's now in a panic, trying to figure out how are we going to save her because she's super far away from the ship now. Keltie realizes that the only way they can save Serena in time before she drowns is if she puts her sealskin back on and jumps into the water. But unfortunately, as we learned earlier, if Keltie puts her sealskin back on, she can't emerge from the water for another 7 years. So this is when Morgan and Keltie say their final goodbyes together, share one last kiss, and Keltie jumps into the ocean to save Serena. While under the water, Keltie reveals her identity to Serena, which now convinces Serena that they need to change the course of the ship because Keltie tried to convince Serena earlier, saying she was like a wildlife expert, but unfortunately Serena was like, I'm not going to talk to my parents about that, whatever, like it's not important. But now, seeing that Keltie is a Selkie, it convinced her. So the story ends with Serena being saved, Keltie is back in the ocean, and Morgan is finally happy because she is out to everybody. She was able to introduce Keltie as her girlfriend. Unfortunately, we don't know what the situation there is anymore because Keltie can't emerge from the ocean for another 7 years. But she did ask Morgan to not wait for her because it wouldn't be right. But now Morgan gets to live her true self on Wilnef Island. So let's get to the ratings. Since it's only me today, I'm gonna have 4 different categories. It's gonna be still out of 100, but let's get to it. Let's start with representation. So for representation, I give it a 9. It's honestly, this is such a cute graphic novel. I think it's a very accurate portrayal of somebody who is closeted in a world where they're not sure if the people around them would accept like the way they are. I love all those little panics that she gets when Keltie gets a little too close to her. Not only is it like a gay panic, like wow, this girl's really cute and she's really close to me, it's also one of those things where what if somebody sees us? Like don't get close to me. And it's honestly, it's adorable. And I really like that part where they inserted that straight couple that they saw kind of kissing, and Morgan had to explain to Keltie like, no, like that's different. And Keltie just didn't understand that straight people and gay people are two completely different worlds. Next up is queer comfort. So for queer comfort, I give it a 10. Like I said, it's an adorable graphic novel. If you just it's bright, it's colorful, you have so much going on. It's a beautiful landscape, and just the story of Keltie and Morgan as two people who started off as a secret, growing into this public relationship is just so cute. And honestly, I don't care what age range this graphic novel is meant for. I feel like kids could read it, adults could read it, and very heartwarming. Next up is the writing. So for writing, I give it a 9.5. Honestly, I don't have a lot of bad things to say about the writing, obviously. There's just this one line that was super corny. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like, I can't wait to be free from this town so I can be myself and be gay. It just, I don't know, it was, I don't know what to say about that, but it was just, it was a little corny, but it, like I said, dialogue, nothing bad about it. The story itself, I thought it was like wonderfully written, and I just love the progression and character development of not only Morgan, but Keltie herself. And last but not least, my overall feelings towards the book. I give it a 9.7. Like I said throughout this entire review, it's such a great graphic novel. It's a really easy read too. I was able to read this in maybe a day and a half on and off. Great story, great characters. It's very unique in my opinion, and a lot of the things that Molly Knox Ostertag has written, they're all revolving around queer stories, and I think she's just a really great recommendation overall besides the book. But yeah, it's just a really great book. I really had a great time reading it, and honestly, I could read this over again. I'd probably even read it more than twice over again. And just really cute, sweet book. Check it out. All right, so let's get to our QPR total. AJ, hit us with that gay shit.
So, The Girl from the Sea comes in at 95.5 out of 100, putting it at a gay plus.
Oh my gosh, I'm so surprised that only my ratings gave it a gay plus.
Well, you really like it, so.
I really did like it, and honestly, I think all of you guys viewing this would like it yourself if you haven't already read it. Check it out. Like I said, really quick read, lots of pretty pictures. Thank you, Molly. This is a great read. And I think I'm gonna check out a lot of her other stuff because this is my first book from her. And if this is what all of them are like, I would love to read more. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching another episode of Queer Peer Reviews. Please let me know if you wanted us to do some more book reviews, because honestly, there's a lot of queer novels and graphic novels out there that we should definitely check out. But yeah, check out the links below in the description for links to our social media pages, as well as some other helpful links. But yeah, see you next time.